I'm Atharva Sate, pursuing bachelor's degree from Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology, welcoming you all in second session of our online webinar series. It's my pleasure to announce you that one of our alumna of Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology, Miss Priyanka Santosh Munch. Giving a short introduction about Miss Priyanka, she has completed bachelor's degree in food technology from Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology in 2018. After that, she has completed post-graduation diploma in management from MIT CON Institute of Pune in 2020. She has successfully completed 2 months intern in the market research field in Parag Milk Foods Limited, Pune. So, with warm heart, I welcome you, Miss Priyanka, and request you to carry forward the session ahead. Miss Priyanka?
Yes, thank you, Atharva, for a delightful introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to all in our online webinar session on a very unique topic, food safety in food industry. I find immense pleasure in introducing our today's guest, Mr. Ashish Dobe sir, who is a dairy technologist with 12 years of experience in relevant field. He is currently working as assistant manager, technical operations at Abbott Nutrition. He had previously worked as production manager for Naturex India Private Limited. Ashish sir has 12 years of working experience in dairy and food nutrition business. Sir has spent 3 years in infant food division at Almarai Company in Saudi Arabia. I request our honorable speaker, Mr. Ashish sir, to enlighten the audience with his precious words and begin the session. And I request all the participants to please mute your speakers. Sir,
Hello.
Ashish Dobe sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, Atharva. Thank you, Aditya, and thank you, Shuraj Patil. So, thanks for inviting me on this session. So, I love the topic, always a quality. Okay. Thanks for my introduction, and thanks for your precious time to be present on this topic. Okay. So I'll give you a brief about me. Already given Priyanka has given. So I'm Ashish Thobe, BTech Dairy Technologist, having a 12 years of experience in dairy and food industries. I have around 3 years of experience working overseas in infant nutrition. Okay, and presently I'm working with Abbott Nutrition, which is a nutrition division, and from last 3 years I'm working with Abbott Nutrition in a technical department. Okay, so let's begin with our topic of today's presentation is food safety in dairy or food industry. Okay, so I'm starting to share my content here. Okay, so is it visible and audible to you all?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
is it visible and audible? Okay, okay. So let's begin with the food safety. So food safety is always a priority. It is the second most priority in any food business operator or any food business or food industry. Okay, so first, what is the first priority? First priority is always a safety for human. Okay, so if humans are safe, then all business is safe. Okay, second is your quality. Quality is always a priority. It is not an optional thing. So what is quality, and like, what do you mean when you are saying we are giving a quality food? So quality foods is the food which is safe. Okay, the food which is safe for human consumption or for their intended use, right? So it is always, when you use of safe food, you will always save life. Okay. So what is food safety? As I mentioned, that it is a assurance. It is assurance that you are giving to your customer or your customer that is consuming your product, or that is who is using your product. So you are giving assurance that the product, the food which you are giving them is safe food. Okay. So how you are making sure that food is safe? So there is a system, there's a system which is called a food safety management system, which assures that your food is safe. It is a systematic approach where is the set of procedure where which the company implements in order to prevent your product, their product, which is free from any contamination that will not affect any health of the consumer. So that is a food safety management system. Okay, so food safety management system gives a culture that gives a food safety. I mean, like, when you are saying that you are following a food safety culture, so what you protect, what you avoid. So food safety gives you a benefit to the company, like when you use a safe food to your consumer or your customer, it protects them from a foodborne illness. Like if your product is having some microbiological issues, some physical issues, some chemical hazards, so once your consumer eats your product, that gives them a feeling of illness, and it will gives a bad image about the company. Like when there is a product to prefer, the people mouth to mouth publish that the product of this company is not good or not safe for your consumption. So that gives a brand, a damage to a brand reputation. So once your reputation gets damaged, you will be out of business, and that gives you financial losses. So the food safety is most important whenever, like, your production, your sales, your targets are equally important, but food safety is always a priority. Okay. So let us have some terminology when we use a food safety topic. So the contamination, like what is contamination? Contamination is any harmful presence which is not the part of food. Okay, be it a physical, be it a chemical, be it a microbiological, other than food or its content or its ingredient, it's called your contamination. Then spoilage, how we are saying that food gets spoiled. Okay, so food gets spoiled when it is not fit for eating or not fit for consumption, which is not edible. So that is that condition we called as a spoilage. Okay. So there are some foods which are potential hazardous. So potential hazardous means what? So those foods which are gets easily spoiled when they are not processed or not kept in the controlled conditions. So those foods are called as a potential hazard foods. So potential hazard foods are like, if you say example, the raw milk is more susceptible. Your raw meat is more susceptible to bacterial growth if it is not processed or not stored under a chilled condition or below 6 degrees Celsius for a long time. So those foods which are really a potential, which are really susceptible for potential hazards, those are called as a potential hazardous foods. So we will see the type of hazards and all in further session. Okay. So the temperature zone, the temperature danger zone, the like, it is a temperature where you kept food unattended or unprocessed for a prolonged time in a certain temperature zone. That is a temperature danger zone. See, like, if you see the milk, if milk is kept unattended or unprocessed for a prolonged time in a temperature, in a normal temperature, then there is always a chances of growing of bacteria which spoils your milk. Okay, then what is foodborne illness? Okay, so whenever your food is contaminated due to any of the contaminants, some illness, some harms to the human due to ingestion of that food, so that is called a foodborne illness. So anything, any harm to the humans or the customers or the consumers by a contaminated food. Okay, so when we see the caused by food, so there are some factors, the factors which are contributes to foodborne illness. So what are those factors? The first and primemost is cross contamination. Okay, so cross contamination means what? So whenever you have a raw food and a processed food, okay, so your process starts from raw material. Okay, so raw material, when you you start from raw material, so you should be having a separate containers, separate utensils for a raw material, and you should have a separate utensils for process equipment, process food. So there is always a chances when you use same equipments or same utensils for raw and cooked food or raw and cooked products. So there is always a chances for the cross contamination. Next is inadequate reheating. Why reheating? Say suppose you have prepared a food and un it is kept unattended with not so good preserved condition. So what will happen, after some time it will start spoiling, although you processed it, but there will always a chances where, because you are not if you are not sterilizing the food, you are just processing the food, so there is always a chances of bacteria there, so which grows in a condition, which is favorable. So it is always preferred, or it is always advised that you should reheat the product if you are not using it for a prolonged time, or keep it in freezed condition. Okay, so the same condition is like there. The temperature danger zone. The next one is raw contaminated ingredient without cooking. Means you, as I already said, it is raw food which is not attended or which is not preserved will foodborne illness when it is consumed by consumer or human. Again, the next one is failure to properly heat or cook. As I mentioned, when you are not heating it, when you are not heating it, when you are not giving a heat treatment to it, so there's always a chances that there is always a microbial growth, and that will spoil the product. The people who are not please go on mute. Okay, failure to proper cool food. Okay, so there are psychotropics, the organism which can grow up to a 7 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that stored your product in temperature below 6 degrees Celsius. Now we'll move to hazards. When you say, there are basically four hazards which are being categorized by Food Safety Standard Authority of India. So these hazards are physical hazards, chemical hazards, biological hazards, and allergens. Okay, so what is physical hazard? The name itself says that anything, any object, any physical or foreign object that is found in the food which have a potential cause which can hazard. Okay, so the physical contamination other than food, which is not the part of which is not part of the part of food, which is not the part of ingredient, is called as a physical hazard. Physical hazard may be anything. It may be hair, it may be pin, it may be part of equipment, it may be glass piece, it may be stapler pin, it may be blade, it may be thread, it may be paper, it may be part of hand gloves, it may be part of fingernail, it may be a part of your jewelry, anything, any physical matter other than the food which has a potential to cause hazard, that is a physical hazard. Okay. Then comes chemical hazard. So chemical hazard is any chemical. Maybe it may be induced by product itself, or maybe a residual component of your cleaning system. Okay. So chemical hazard is any chemical substances which is been produced by substances itself, or by the system, or by the leftover from your cleaning equipment or utensils. Okay, so what are those? What are the chemical compounds? These are biological as well as the process induced. So biologicals are mycotoxins, like you must have. So there are several chemical induced, the process induced chemicals. So the pesticides, like you are using the pesticides for pest treatment, uh, then cleaning of this product, sanitizer, like if you are doing a CIP of the equipment, and if it is not flushed properly, then it may have a part of your chemical, your acid or caustic, that may affects the human. Then equipment lubricants like oils and lubricants, the chemical additives which are used more than the intended quantities, more than a prescribed quantities, preservatives more than a prescribed quantities. So these are the adulterations, these are the chemical hazards. Then comes microbiological, the biological hazards. Biological hazards are these are the most common, and these are the most common, and these the microbiological are most dangerous for human health when they are consumed in food. They will give you foodborne illness outbreak. So there are outbreaks when the people use a microbiologically contaminated food and they have a serious health effect. It may sometimes leads to fatality. So who is always at risk? You know, all are at risk, but old age people, the people with low immunity, the people, the pregnant ladies, the infants, the babies. Okay, so these are at high risk. So what are the biological hazards? So these biological hazards mainly are the bacteria which are pathogenic, the Salmonella species, Enterobacteriaceae, Listeria monocytogenes, which is a pasteurization index organism, Staphylococcus, Clostridium. Some yeast and molds are there, the Candida and Aspergillus species. So these are the some common microbes which are present in the system. Sometimes, why I'm saying system, because if you use the system which is not clean, which is not properly CIP, which is not properly clean, which is not properly disinfected, so it will recontaminate your food. Sometimes the food itself is having this organism. So like if you are saying sulfide reducing organism, these are always, when you are getting a food, a raw food from farm, they will always have some microbial contamination, some microbial species present in that. So you need a proper time temperature combination to kill those. Okay, so we'll move to next. Hazard is allergen. Allergen is what? Allergen is normally a harmless substance. normally harmless substance, but it gives reactions to people who are more susceptible to that particular product. So always allergens are a protein in nature, but some people have a serious effect when they consume this product. So you can see the product like fish, some people have a allergy to fish, some people have a allergy to beans, some people have a allergy to milk, like people have protein hypersensitivity, okay, lactose intolerance when they consume it. So what is, so when you are saying a food allergy is a serious immune response when you eat that product. Like some people will have rashes when they consume some guar gum beans and all. So this is the food allergy, and it is compulsory, or it is mandatory for the food business operator or the producers to mention this allergen on their product, because people always many people always have an allergy to many of the products like a cereals that contain glutens. So people have allergy with gluten, they will not consume your product if you're writing it as a allergen. Then egg and egg product, fish, milk and milk product, peanuts, soybean. Some people have allergy with tree nuts. Some people have an allergy to sulfite when it is used in a concentration more than a 10 mg per kg. So these are the common food allergen. Like I already mentioned, the food, free fish, some eggs, some pulses, milk and milk products, tree nuts products, and in one figure picture there is mentioned the sulfite. So if you mention, you have to mention that what allergen your product have, so the people with allergy will not consume your product. So when you say that food safety, how we can avoid food is becoming a foodborne, becoming a susceptible to spoilage, and it gives a foodborne illness. So there are four basic steps. First is clean, separate, cook, and chill. So cleanliness, yes. Is it going so faster, or is it
No,
okay?
sir. No, sir. It's fine.
Is it going so faster, or is it okay?
No, sir. It's okay.
It's okay,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. So first is cleanliness.
No, sir. It's okay.
Thank
It's okay, sir.
thank you. First is cleanliness. So what is cleanliness? Cleanliness is something that you are you are assuring that whatever the utensils, whatever the process equipment, the food handler, the operators which are directly involved in the procedure, these are clean. The clean means what, when you are saying a clean person, that gives a personal hygiene. A personal hygiene means what? You should wear clean clothes. Of course, you should take a bath before you are going for food processing area. Then cleaning and sanitizing processing equipment, surface utensils. So when you are saying cleaning equipment, cleaning means what? Cleaning means you are making sure it is free from dirt, dust, from microorganisms, and which is safe for further processing. So that is clean surface, clean utensils, and clean equipment. So we'll move to the most important topic, which is personal hygiene. So washing your hands before and after meal, washing your hands before and after brushing your teeth, cleaning, washing your hand before and after your entry into a process area. It is most imperative. And you should wash your hand with these 6 steps. Okay. And further, you have to sanitize it. First, you have to wet your hands, then take a soap, then rub it against your hands, against your nails, against your fingers, the middle area of your finger. Rinse it properly, dry your hands properly, and then use a skin friendly sanitizer. The industries are using 70% of acid, sorry, alcohol, 70% of alcohol, and some use, I think, using a spit acid, which is separately designed for hand sanitation. Okay. Then comes personal hygiene. It includes three main steps. When you are saying three main points, first is health. Health of whom? The person who are directly involved in the food processing, who are directly involved in the packing, who are directly involved in the transportation or handling of the food product. Okay. So the guidelines are given by Food Safety and Standard Authority of India, and it is imperative to do all the food business. They should examine all their employee at least a yearly for a contagious diseases, the diseases that may spread through contacts, or that disease may go to the food when they are directly in contact with food. So what are those tests? The physical examination, your eye test. Okay. Why eye test? Some people have an eye infection. Okay. And they are going to the food preparation room. So there may be a chance that there is a contamination of the food by the organism from their eyes. The skin examination. When you are having a skin disease, there is a chances a part of your skin may goes to the product, which can contaminate further the food. Okay. It is always imperative to schedule a vaccination, like all the companies, I mean most of the companies having a vaccination to the the contagious diseases. Okay. And those are to be recorded. Why recorded? Because whenever there is an inspection, you can show them, yes, you can assure them that your employees are totally safe, totally healthy and fit for the production. And by the way, you are giving a confidence that the product you have been produced is of a good quality. So second one is behavioral and personal cleanliness. So behavioral means what? These are under control of people. So these are under your control. This is the part of behavior, like coughing, sneezing, spitting. Like people have a habit of spitting everywhere. Okay. So you should not spit over in the food processing areas that may spread the microorganism present in your body through the areas, and ultimately it goes to the system and may contaminate the product. Some people have a habit of chewing gums, chocolates, tobacco, pan masala. So actually what happens, they end up using a pan masala and they spit over. So what happens, that pan masala material can go to the equipment or can go to the product, that may spoil the product. Or if your consumer finds it, like if your consumer find the pan masala ingredient in their product they purchase, so how they feel? They feel that this company's product is not safe for their consumption. Okay. So when you see the personal hygiene, there are some do's and don'ts. I'm not sure if you can see this very tiny words, but I can read for you people. uh, the picture is self-explanatory that you should wear proper shoes, clean uniform, hand gloves, you should wear a mask, cap. So these are all the protective equipments for food, which avoids food gets contaminated due to human touches. So here you can see there is a cap. You should not keep your hair outside the cap. There is always, you should not use the buttons, the shirt with buttons. You should not use the pen, the any object which can go into a product. That you when you visit the food industry, when you go to the food industry, you will see the dress are designed in a way that they will not contribute any kind of physical hazards or any kind of contamination which can go to the product while they are around the product or while they are processing the product. So here are some examples you can see. Like jewelry, your nail should be trimmed, your head should be trimmed, the small hair, the hair which is the hair nets, you should not have any open cut. That whatever is open cut is dressed by a proper bandit, and you should wear hand gloves. You should not use a mobile phone there, because when there is always a chance when you use a mobile phone, use it may affect your safety, human safety as well as food safety. Okay. So when you say the perfume, why you cannot use the perfume? Because others, please go on mute. So perfume, there is you might have heard some people have an allergy to harsh perfume. When you use perfume, that may contaminate your food, and when the consumer which is having allergy to perfume, they may have a product which has been contaminated by perfume. Then comes management, visitor management. Actually, you should avoid visitor from visiting your processing environment or your production areas. But there are conditions where you cannot avoid them, like your auditors, some of the customers, some of the government officials who came to visit the factory. So whenever they are visiting the factory, policies for visitors, proper uniform for visitors. So what are those policies? Actually, those policies which should be documented, there should be a clear idea about their intention to come to the company, why they are coming to your company, why they wants to visit your factory. Okay, so you should have visitor per visitor, because there are some areas where we should not allow visitor. The policy, they don't know directly a food safety policies of your company, because they are very much new to food industry sometimes. So you should be having a proper dress code for the visitor, so that they can be easily identified. You should have a visitor pass to them. You should give all the equipments which protects your food, which you are giving to your employee, like your hairnet, dress, shoes, masks, goggles, hand gloves. So, and you should explain them your policies, food safety policies, human safety policies, to the visitor before they are entering to the food processing areas or filling areas or your storage areas. And all the visitors, the external people visits, has to be documented. Why you need to document those? because whenever there is a problem in future, in, you feel some problem in particular batch of the product, so you should be knowing the production area or the production facility is visited by whom. So there is always a chance where visitors don't know the policies, so they try to touch your product, they try to touch your equipment, they try to touch your ingredient, so there may be a like a chances where they gives a contamination. So you should always document your visitor policy, and you visitor visits to your production, filling, or the storage area. That is for your safety, your product safety. Okay, so the next step, the after cleanliness is next step is separate. So separate means what? To keep separate your raw or unprocessed food from the processed food. Why? Why you keep them? Why you need to keep them separate? There is always a chance of contamination by the raw or uncooked food to the processed food. In same way, you need to use separate equipments for raw and processed food. Say suppose you have a three equipments or three container, so you should mark them as container one for always a raw food, container two is always for processed food. So there is always a chance where you will have a contamination where when you use the same container for processed and unprocessed food. Also, you should have a separate or designated areas for raw material or and processed food. There is always, there is again one area which is called a quarantine area, where you see the food which is in intermediate process, like it is from raw material to intermediate product and then it is going to final product. So that intermediate product, you can say it as a quarantine product which is going for a further processing. So this is a separation of raw material to a processed food. Third one is cooking means processing, heat treatment. Okay, so the cooking means not always a cooking means you are giving some time temperature combination. There is always a time temperature combination whenever you are going for food cooking, means you are distorting microorganism to a level which is acceptable or which is safe for human consumption, like the pasteurization. In pasteurization you are using some time temperature combination for milk or for liquid or for food, which is gives you assurance that this time temperature combination will reduce the microorganism flora to an acceptable level. Second one is sterilization. So sterilization can can ensure you there is a complete destruction of your the microbial flora present in a food, and which is very much safe. Nowadays sterilization process is being used widely in the dairy and food industry. You must have been you must have seen the liquid milk, now flavored milk. There are retard processing that is called as sterilization. The processed food. Okay, so now when you see the cooking or the heat processing, there should be always a time temperature combination, and the most important thing is you should always keep your product in chilled condition when it is not going to consume in a short time. It will also reduces the risk. How? The temperature, whenever you store the product below the freezing temperature or to a freezing temperature, it will restrict the growth of microorganism. Although there are some organisms which can grow up to a 0 degree Celsius, but you are reducing the growth, or you reducing the chances of growing of bacteria, the harmful bacteria or the bacteria whatever present in the food. You are just hurdling their growth. Okay. And whenever you are saying pasteurization doesn't use a definition complete without chilling. So whenever you are heating, you are pasteurizing a food means you are heating, holding up to a separate certain temperature, and then rapidly cooling it. Rapidly cooling it mitigates the risk. Like if you are increasing the temperature up to 80 degrees Celsius, holding it up to 15-16 seconds, and then you are allowing it naturally cooling. So like once the food is gradually cools, naturally cools, when it comes to a temperature of 60, it again start growing microorganism in it. So you need to rapidly chill the product so that whatever organism has been left by the pasteurization, those will not grow. Okay, so the important step, cleaning, cleaning and sanitization. So what does the cleaning and sanitization meaning? Cleaning, you're making your equipments, processing equipments free from dust, dirt, any microorganism. So what are the objectives? Physical cleaning is there, chemical cleaning is there, biological cleaning is there, and sterile cleaning is there. So what are the steps of cleaning? And when you will go to food industry, you will see there is a process, the setup process for cleaning of the equipment. First is CIP, second is COP. The CIP, you must know that CIP is cleaning in place. The equipments have their own system of cleaning themselves, and the equipment which don't have cleaning system for cleaning themselves, those equipments are taken out of the system and they are cleaning out of the place, and then again they are fitting back. So the cleaning for any of the equipment, whether it is CIP, whether it is a COP, you should follow certain procedure. So in CIP, what you will do, in first step, what you will do, after your production completes, you should remove all the food residues by flushing them. Then you rinse the lines, pre-cleaning, you can say that. Then after pre-cleaning, you ensure there is no physical part of any product present in the system. Then you go for detergent cleaning. Detergent cleaning means what? It is acid, basically in berry industry, the acid and caustic. Okay, so for a deposition, for the milk deposition, you go for a caustic cleaning with a certain time, temperature, and concentration. So CIP is always time, temperature, concentration, and turbulence. So you remember 4 T's of the CIP: time, temperature, concentration, and turbulence. So whenever you go for CIP, when you rinse, then you go for a cleaning agent. Depend on your product, depend on, like some product may need acid and caustic as well. Some equipment can get clean with the caustic only. Like if you see the milk, if you use a high heating media for the equipments, there is always a chances of the minerals deposition on the interior part of your equipments, food processing equipments. So this deposition cannot be cleaned alone by caustic. You need to circulate acid. with a certain concentration. So that will give you a clean equipment. Okay, so once you do with do with the chemicals, there is another round of cleaning, that is called a flushing. Final flushing, you will get to know, yes, all the cleaning agents are out of the system or not by putting a pH strip. So you'll see if it is normal to a water pH, then you will assuring that this water or this flushing water is totally free from chemical. The chemical in the system is totally get out from the system, and now you are good for the disinfectant. Disinfectant means what? See, like you are cleaning the equipment, but sometimes what happens, there is a very hard layers, or the depollutions, where this can recontaminate your product. So there is a process of disinfecting, or you can say sanitizing, using by hot water or by alcohols or peracetic acid. So these are some chemicals which are being used for disinfection. Okay, so after CIP, what again contributes to your food safety? Pest control. uh, Pest control is actually a vast topic. When you go to the food industry, you will see there are many controls for food, for pest. The pests are anything, any micro insects, birds, anything than the human, anything than the employees, the living thing, anything that other than the employees of the company. Like flies are there, mosquitoes are there, snakes are there, rats are there, okay, cobs there. So these are some insects or the living things which can spoil your product really. How? So if you see the rats mainly, the rat responsible for the diseases like plague. You know, there was a pandemic due to plague in India. So the living things other than the human are the pest that gives damage or discomfort to a product, or that can transmit the diseases. So you should always have a pest control activity at your area, even at the home. You see, or you used to clean your house on daily basis or some frequency basis, so that it cannot use a harborage for a microorganism or for the insects which can damage or gives irritation or discomfort to you. See, like if you see a cockroach in your home, it will always gives you irritation or discomfort. See, if you see any insect in your food, if you are eating food and some mosquito or insect or flies park your food and you see anything, so this is always a discomfort. So how you can avoid that? You should always have a proper pest control activities. There are certain agencies which are giving a third party or integrated pest management system like IPM. So there are some companies who are giving these services. They are charging for the services, okay, and they are giving your and they are assuring your factory which is free from insect or to a acceptable limit. So there are some methods which are being used by IPM. Some rat or rodents cages, glue gum, glue boxes. You see in the third picture, the pipes are the pipes openings are closed. There should be a blinds on the open ends. There are insectors, rodents station, bed station, mesh, where you want a normal atmospheric air to go or to come inside, but it should not use any foreign particle or any foreign insect to come inside the factory. They are using mesh or grips. Some of the insect or some of the organism or some of the flies, rodents can come into the processing area via drains. So you should always, you see, whenever you go to an industry, you will see all these equipments are there for the controls of the pest in the in the food industry or dairy industry. So how you control? I mean, whenever you are saying that you are controlling pest, you are managing the pest control activities. So how you manage your pest control activities? So there are 4D method. What is that? It's deny entry. Deny entry means first of all you check from where these pests are coming. So like if there is a damage to wall, is there is an opening to the wall, is there is a cutout in the wall or in the processing area, or any pest can come into your processing area. Second is denying food. Denying food means what? You are when you will say that yes, in food industry there will be a food. Yes, there will be a food, but that food should not be open. That should not be in the areas, outside areas, which can invite this pest. If you keep any food open condition, unattended condition, it will invite pest always. And once it is been tested by this pest, it will get spoiled, because you never know there that these pests can carry many dangerous diseases. Like I explained, rodents or these rats. Once in India, there was a pandemic due to rats. Then you should avoid or you should deny the shelter. I mean, the area, the area where they can harbor, or the area where they can freely make their home and freely stays there after getting food. And the last one is destruction. Destruction means what? Destruction means it is not just killing, you are trapping them. Sometimes you have to trap them in a glue pads, in a bed station, or sometimes some flies are been captured in the uh, ultraviolet lamps. Those are been attracted, and then they are captured by they are killed by the electricity. The electricity flows to the mesh in the your okay. So after pest control, now how you are ensuring your product is safe? So these are nothing but the food safety management system. I mean, whatever the topic till now we just gone through is a part of food safety management system, whether it is cleaning, the process management, personal hygiene, pest management, storage conditions. It is solely a part of food safety management system, that is ISO 22 ISO 22000. So food safety management system is what? Your plan, your policies, your processes, the practices of people, then your process goals, your objective, methods, controls, relationships, documentation, records, and resources. So I'm sure there is another topic by another expert who is giving you this food safety management system in the regularity perspective will be get covered in that topic, I'm sure. There is one part I missed to include in this topic, that is how you identify hazards. I mean, how you say this is hazard or this can be a hazard. So there is a system called hazard analysis critical control point, that is HACCP. So how you define? Say I will give you a simple example. Say you want to drive a car. Okay, you want to drive a car. Then what will be the hazard? Say like your any process, pasteurization of milk. Okay, so I'm giving a simple example of driving a car. See, like when you are saying driving a car is a process, so what will be the hazard? The hazard will be accident. Okay, so the first principle is conduct hazard analysis. Conduct hazard analysis. So second one is a determine CCP. Third one is establish critical control point. Third one is establish monitoring procedure. Fifth one is establish corrective actions. Sixth one is establish verification procedure, and seventh one is record keeping. Okay, so when you see the example of driving a car, first one is hazard analysis. So you see, while driving a car, there may be a chances of getting accident. So accident is your hazard. Second one is determine critical control point. So you need to determine a critical control point. Critical control point on your driving, that is your car speed. So if you see there, if you see on the road, there are posters which are giving you drive you at 60 kilometer per hour, 20 kilometer per hour, 30 kilometer per hour. So these are the critical control point. You cannot go above that control point, critical control point, otherwise there will be a short accident will be there. Okay, so this is a critical limit, the third one. Like whenever you can see that once you drive above 100 kilometer per hour, you will lose your control and you will have accident. So that is your critical limit. Fourth one is establishing monitoring procedure. Monitoring procedure means how you come to know that your speed is going above the 100 kilometers. There is a speed dialer. So speedometer or speed dial gives you an idea that your speed is going above 100 or 120 kilometers per hour, that you should control. Okay, so how you can control that? The fifth point, establishing a control or corrective action. How you can control that? Lock your speed limit or lock your speedometer to 100, so that anyway how forcefully you push your pedal up, you push your accelerator, it won't goes above 100. So that is a corrective action. Okay, then establish verification procedure. How you can verify it? So there are some cameras, you must have seen some cameras or the speed detection limit cameras on the road, where it is capturing the the speed limit of the car, and it gives a flash, or it takes the photos of that particular car. And seven is record keeping. So once it captures a car, it's a photos of that the particular car which is going above the limit, and you that car owner will get penalized. So that is recorded and documented. So this is about the HACCP, hazard analysis and critical control point, 7 principle. Sorry, I forgot to mention in this, but it is equally important. I'm sure this will be covered in your regulatory topic. So these are the key element of the food safety management system, that good manufacturing practices, that is GMP. We already covered many of the GMPs like cleaning, personal hygiene, the PRP, prerequisite programs. Like prerequisite means before going before doing or before going to a processing area, you should clean your hand, you should wear a clean uniform, you should have a hair net, you should have a beard net, you should have a mask, you should wear hand gloves when you're directly touching to the product. uh, the hazard analysis and critical control point, the same. Then management element, that is management system, that your your company should have the systems in place to manage these kind of hazards or to manage the food safety. Then statutory and regulatory equipment, that certification, it has been certified by external bodies. They come to your company, they analyze all your system, they analyze all your processing area people, then your training of the people, then the competency of the people. Okay, then as per the government guidelines, what are the mandatory requirements, that your water, your facility design, your lab design, your processing equipments, your cleaning systems, and all these systems are being validated. Validation of their equipment, validation of their systems are being checked by regulatory bodies, and they will give you a certification. Yes, you have all these systems, you have all the procedures, that you can use a very safe product to your consumer, that will not affect any health of the consumer. And last one is the communication. So that's it from my side. Thanks for your kind attention. Stay home, stay safe. Being a technologist, you will be the producers of the food
Hello.
in future. So
Hello.
make sure that your consumer will get a safe food from your company or from your side. So that's it from my side.
Hello.
If any question, I'll be
Sir.
welcoming those questions.
Yes. Sir, am I audible? Hello. Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Sir, am I audible?
Thanks to the management committee.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir. So far, we have received many questions on food safety topic.
Yes,
But due to
Yes.
time constraint, we'll be selecting some of the important questions only. Sir, with your permission, can I start to the Q&A session?
Received many questions on food safety
Hello.
topic.
Okay, I can
Time
yeah.
will be selecting some of the important questions only.
Okay,
Sir, with your permission.
sorry, yeah, please.
Sir, I would like my co-host Atharva Satay has one question, so I'll ask him to ask the first question.
Sir,
Atharva, are you?
Host Atharva Satay has one question, so I'll ask him to ask the first question.
Yeah, sure.
Atharva,
I'll try.
Yes, Priyanka. Hello, sir. I am audible. Yes, Priyanka. Hello, sir. I am audible.
Yes. Yes,
Sir,
Atharva.
yes, sir. As this is a pandemic situation, and then what are the impacts of COVID-19 on food safety? As this is a pandemic situation, and then what are the impacts of COVID-19 on food safety?
Definitely, there will be a impact. Okay, so when you say a COVID virus, that is coronavirus. Okay, so once your once any of your worker has been affected with the corona, okay, if it is coming to your factory, so in that condition he may be having some symptoms of sneezing, coughing. Okay, so that sneeze, that cough will spread through all the employees. If he's handling directly to a product, that contamination goes to a product, and when the consumer or the customer eats that product, will always have a issue. Again, when your food handler or the processed food handler has a coronavirus infection, and that has been transmitted to a product. So always there is a chances when the product is contaminated with the coronavirus will always give a infection to a consumer. And this has been already taken care by most of the companies. They are using a frisking at the gate, that they are having a temperature control, they are having their health checkups, okay, to make food safe for the consumer. Had I answered the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, regarding to this question only, there's one question that there are various
Whatever is a contagious disease,
Regarding to this question only, there's
Okay.
one question that there are various products.
There are, sir, various products in liquid form available in the market which claims that they will kill the bacteria or viruses from the vegetables and fruit surface. Sir, that really works, or there are any consequences or any side effects of this product
Vegetables
on
and food
our
surface.
health?
So there are any consequences or any side effects of this product on our health?
uh, definitely, because see, like these are disinfectant, okay. So when you use, I mean, disinfectant only work where you have a smooth surfaces, okay. If there is a harborage, or see, like you are cleaning your food product which is having a harborage of microorganism, definitely the disinfectant will kill your the microorganism on the food product. But ultimately, if it is not been rinsed properly, that will gives you a chemical contamination or chemical hazards if it is not been washed properly after disinfectant. Or sometimes you may never know that some of the chemicals can gives you a chemical reaction for a particular food product. So it is not always safe to use a chemical disinfectant for a food product. You should have a blast of it. Some people use a microwave oven or hitting them, just cleaning them and hitting them before use. Before you use, don't use, try to don't use a raw material as much as you can possible.
Okay, sir. Sir, are
Have I answered the question?
yes, sir. Sir, some of the students want to ask that are there any institutes or some training programs that provide training regarded to food safety?
Institutes or some training programs that provide training regarded to food safety?
Yes, there are certification bodies. Like if you see FSSI, there is always a force track training there. Some certification body, SGS, Bureau Veritas. So they are conducting the trainings, but those trainings you need to go to register to those training, and you have to pay fees for them. So they will give you training on food safety for the people who likes to go for auditing area, for internal auditor, for external auditor. So there are training courses. If you want to
Okay.
go, you go visit to a FSSI site. There you will see the training program. There is a schedule of the trainings, and it is mentioned. You have to, if you have to register, you can register from there, and you have to pay online. And nowadays these trainings are even online due to this COVID situation. So there are some trainings which are 5 to 6 days training. So you have to register for them. These trainings sometimes they are in Pune, Mumbai, or in big cities. They are conducting their training for 5 days, for 10 days. So those are paid trainings.
Okay, sir.
Simply
Sir,
you can go
my
to
next.
FSSI website. You will see
Okay.
all these trainings,
Okay, sir.
or you want.
Sir, my
Yeah.
next. Okay.
So my next question is, what are the emerging issues
Yes, please.
beyond residues and
So my next
contaminants for
question is,
ensuring food
what are the
safety in
emerging
developing
issues
countries?
beyond residues and contaminants for ensuring food safety in developing countries?
Okay, so when we see the types of we see the types of hazard, right? So there is again one type of hazard is radio. Some element which can emit the radioactive element. Okay, so those are carcinogenic. Okay, so not but in India now this trend has not yet came or not yet focused by many of the industries. Like if you talked about the product of the nutrition or the nutrition business, they are more into this, like a lead and melamine or something like that. So lead or any other radioactive element that gives you a carcinogenic or can cause a cancer. So these are the topics which are being talked about in the foreign countries or in the countries in the developed countries. In India, it has started working. Government of India is already started working on this. They have identified some of the radioactive elements which should not be there in the food product. Okay, there are some ingredient which are being processed in the equipment where they generate or where they get contaminated with some of the radioactive element, and they goes to the and their concentration is very less. Although this concentration is very less, the people when exposed to a prolonged exposure, then they will have this kind of infections like cancer or tumors, like that. So this is the topic nowadays been talked of.
Sir, our next question is hello. Hello. Hello.
Sir, our next question is hello.
Yeah,
Sir, my next question
yeah,
is
please,
what
I
are
can
the
hear you.
major pitfalls of cold storage supply chain in India due to which quality and safety
Question
of the
is what are the
stored
major
food products get
pitfalls of
deteriorated day by day?
supply chain in India due to which quality and safety of the stored food products get deteriorated day by day?
Okay, so you're talking about the. I'll try to answer this question because I didn't work on the cold storages, but I'll
Okay, sir.
try maximum. See, like nowadays, the yeah, nowadays if you see that the products which I already mentioned, that this should be stored below the temperature danger zone. Okay, so if you see cheese, the butter, or raw meat, so these products are or even processed meat. So this product, I mean, these product have a highly chances where microorganism, because they are or some fermented product you see. So already they have a microorganism in it. Although those are a good microorganism, but they have it because of the product characteristic. So it is always advised to store them in a cold condition where the proper pH of the product is maintained, so that this organism cannot grow beyond the limit and produce a higher pH or deteriorate your product. So nowadays, when there is a cold storage, what people tends to do is, while transporting or transportation to get the benefit out of it, people what to do is, oh no, there is a temperature, you can shut off the cooling system, and then again you can start that. So in the fluctuation time, there will be the organism which can grow beyond limit, and they can make their habitat and comes into a spore condition. They form a spores. So when you give a temperature fluctuation or temperature shock to the organism, they will develop their habitat, and then they will be a spore former which can grow at any of the temperature.
Okay, sir. So
So
probably my last
the cooling or chilling or the cold storage
Okay,
is,
sir.
yeah.
So probably my last
Sir, probably my last question is, can you
Yeah,
please
please.
say in a short, like how
Last
HSCCP is
question
been
is,
implemented in
can you
dairy
please
industry?
in a short, like how HSSCP is been implemented in dairy industry?
Yeah, sure. Um, like I mentioned, um, the food safety. HACCP is a integrated part of food safety system. HACCP means hazard analysis and critical control point. So the HACCP is implemented over a process, over a complete process. Like if you are saying, if I give you a pasteurization, for example of pasteurization, okay, so there is you have to identify the process first. Okay, so what is pasteurization? Your raw material, your raw milk has your raw milk is comes into a tank, then it comes to a phe, then preheating, heating, holding, cooling, and then it goes to a silo, or goes to a packing. Okay, so before starting HACCP, starting HACCP study, you have to gather a team. You have to gather a HACCP team. Okay, then you have to like it is a multidisciplinary team always, because see, like if you are saying it is a pasteurization. Pasteurization involves equipments, the physical equipments, then some transmitters, temperature transmitters. Okay, so you need engineering person there, then a processing person there, then the quality person is there. Okay, quality assurance person is there. So this is a multidisciplinary team you have to form for the HACCP, for the hazard analysis and critical control point. Okay, then once you assemble the team, you have to go for a study. So see, like a pasteurization, you have to identify what will be the hazard to the milk when it is not pasteurized properly. It will definitely give you a health hazard, like Listeria monocytogenes is a pasteurization index organism. So this organism, earlier it was a Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So if this organism not get killed, and the microflora of your milk is not reduced to acceptable limit, then what will happen? It will again start to grow, and it will spoil your product. In both way, it will spoil your product, or if the organism is not get killed, it will give a health hazard to a person who is eating it. So you have identified it, that yes, this is my hazard. Then what you have to do is, you have to find a critical control point. What will the critical control point means? The critical control point is point where beyond that point your product will not be a safe for consumption, or will not be a safe at all in the process. So that point is your temperature. Okay, then you identify your temperature. Okay, then you have to what will the temperature, what will the time and temperature. Okay, so you establish a critical control, the critical limit, that your 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds, it will be your critical limit. Okay, then there should be a system which monitors that system, but that limit, yes, it is playing in that plus minus, sometimes plus minus 1, or some plus minus 2 degrees. Okay, so that will be your monitoring system. Then you have to establish a a corrective action. If that goes below that temperature, then your system should go automatically, or you have to put your system into a cleaning mode, that the further product will not be processed in the system. That is your corrective action. Okay, and what gives that, how you can say this action you have implemented, on basis of what? On basis of verification procedure. There is a flow diversion wall that is interconnected with the temperature, which gives, if the temperature goes down, that wall goes to the drain or to the circulation tank, and system goes into a CIP. That will assures that your system is robust and it will not allow any unpasteurized milk to further, and you are keeping all the records. Okay, so there is a chart, there is a hazard analysis. Okay, so hazard and risk. So how you analyze the risk? So there is a, when you see the risk is analyzed, risk is been analyzed on basis of what? So there is a potential and probability, how potential it is and how probable it is. Okay, means occurring of the incidence and it is its impact. So it is give you the limit. So like I'm saying, Mycobacterium tuberculosis in present in the milk. Okay, so its probability is very high, because you don't know from which supplier, from which tanker, from which farm it is coming. Okay, so there may be a contamination of milk, so probability is very high and risk is also very high. So that confirms you it is a critical control point. So there are several steps which identified that yes, it is critical control point or not. Have I answered the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It was indeed a privilege to have Mr. Ashish Dubey, sir, as our today's guest.
Thank you, sir. It was
Thank
indeed
you,
a
sir, for your efforts
to
and
have
your
Mr.
valuable
Ashish Dubey,
words.
sir, as our today's
Your
guest.
session was full of
Thank
wisdom
you,
and
sir, for your
information. I'm
efforts and
sure
your
the session
valuable
will
words.
definitely
Thank
raise
you.
the
Session
awareness
was
on
full of
food
wisdom
safety,
and
and we all
information.
will
I'm sure the
inculcate food
session will
safety
definitely
practices in our
raise the
respective
awareness
fields.
on food safety, and we all will inculcate food safety practices in our respective fields.
Thank you, participants, for participating. And I would like you to remind all participants that tomorrow,
Thank you,
on 12th
participants,
October,
for
we are
participating.
having two
And I would like
sessions,
you to
namely
remind all
Outlook and
participants
Scope
that
in
tomorrow,
Food
on
and
12th
Beverage
October,
Industry.
we are having two sessions, namely Outlook and Scope in Food and Beverage Industry.
By Ms. Amandik Olak, ma'am, at 11 a.m. And previously, the next session in the afternoon, that is Aseptic Processing and Packaging by Mr. Nitin Dubey, sir, at 2 p.m. in afternoon. So request you all to join the tomorrow's session. Thanking you all, your host, Ms. Priyanka Mons, declare the end of this session. Thank you, sir. Hello. Hello.
Thank you all.